was done as a pilot, right? We were very aware that we didn't have the knowledge or the experience to ask the questions we wanted to ask on a national level, to survey those living and aging with HIV, and to do that justice and do that in a way that honors the people living in our communities. We developed this pilot to try in Ontario to find out, what are people asking? What are their concerns, worries? What are they, if anything, what are they excited about? Is there something great about getting older that you're looking forward to? Um, so that they could inform the questions, so that they can inform the survey. And so knowing that Ontario focused research is very prevalent and how much of a bias there is there, and we acknowledge all those things. It was really interesting to see the commonalities, whether we were in Ottawa or Hamilton or Sudbury, but then also the things that absolutely are always highlighted, that are, rural, remote areas have different needs and different experiences than, a GTA, Toronto-based or a large city-based. Um, and that was pretty consistent across the board. People have fairly grave concerns about their living and financial situation, which other research has demonstrated for the last decade in people living and aging with HIV. Our research supports that. We also, to me, whenever I look at things like this, I always look at what we don't see, like what didn't come up, what questions weren't asked, or what things weren't said, because what's missing sometimes is as important as what was said. So fairly consistent to hear about income, housing, anything that goes with income, right? So access to services, access to food, safety. We didn't hear a lot about people talking about sex and sexuality beyond a very narrow focus on um, stigma, or being kind of feeling like worried that if they were in long-term care, they'd have to go back into the closet. Again, other research has already shown that to be a concern of people in the community. But there are things that are unique, I think, to communities that we didn't access yet, that will still be seen when we do it on a national level. So if you're in a rural or remote community, access to certain types of food is limited because of the cost of food. I saw a video the other day about food in the Yukon, and it's like $16 for a box of, like whatever cookie. And that, it's not even feasible for those of us living in Toronto, who may have a very steady income, let alone someone who is, limited in their access to certain resources. But I find, because we went through community organizations to recruit to the focus groups and to engage people in the focus groups, we definitely are getting the perspective of people who use those organizations, and perhaps people who don't come to an ASO or HIV community organization. They live in a small town, or they live in a remote community that doesn't have those services. Um, they may have different needs. May have deep needs that we don't really have a window into yet. Was someone who said, all I want is for someone to know I'm alive. All I want is someone to call and check on me. And it's just so, you're sitting there at this giant screen coding things through, and you read that and it just stops you in your tracks. Because when you think about the complexity of asking policymakers for anything, when you think about the complexity of doing what we do and how hard it is to get funding, and then, do the work, do the recommendations, and then hope that somehow they get, to the place they're supposed to go. We hope that they're going to act on them. We hope that the policymakers and the government are going to do the right thing for people. People just want to be seen, like people, they're just human. They're just human, and they just want to be seen. And to feel so invisible, because the stigma you carry from living with HIV, and then we deal with all the ageism that happens in our world. It was just so stark to read that. And the other one was about, had to do with food security, and it had to do with someone saying, I know that at the beginning of the month, I can have one piece of bread every day. But by the middle of the month, I have to make sure that I, like, stretch the loaves out so that I have enough for every other day.